The stars looked different through a warship's windows. Captain Jake Morrison had spent 20 years in space, but he still felt small when he looked at them. Today, those stars seemed to watch him back. "Sir, we have movement." Lieutenant Danny. Ross pointed at his screen. "Multiple ships coming out of hyperspace. They're big." Jake walked to the command console. Earth's outer defense station felt too quiet. "How big?" "Each one is 10 times our size, Captain. There are 6 of them." The bridge crew stopped talking. Everyone knew what this meant. For 2 years, they had heard stories from other species. Stories about the Vrakathi, the hunters who took entire civilizations for sport. Now they were here. "Open communications," Jake ordered. His voice stayed calm, but his hands gripped the console edge. The main screen flickered. A face appeared that made several crew members step back. The Vrakathi had gray skin like old stone, 4 eyes that moved independently, and a mouth full of teeth designed for tearing. When it spoke, the translator turned its growls into flat, emotionless words. "Humans of Earth, I am War Master Volker of the Vrakathi Empire. You have 1 hour to surrender your planet. Those who surrender will die quickly. Those who resist will know pain before death. Choose." The screen went black. Jake looked around his bridge. He saw fear on young faces, but also something else, anger. These aliens thought humans would just give up. They were wrong. "Ross, send a message to all Earth defense ships. Tell them to prepare for battle." Jake sat in his command chair. "And get me Admiral Susan Harper." The Admiral's face appeared on a side screen. Her gray hair was pulled back tight, and her eyes looked like steel. "I saw the message, Jake. What's your assessment?" "They're confident, Admiral. Too confident. They expect us to roll over like every other species they've hunted. And will we?" Jake smiled for the first time that day. "Not a chance." "Good. You have command of the forward fleet. Show them what humans are made of." The next 40 minutes passed like hours. Jake watched his tactical display as Earth's ships moved into position. Compared to the Vrakathi vessels, human ships looked like toys. But Jake knew something the aliens didn't. Size wasn't everything in a fight. "Captain, the Vrakathi are moving," Danny reported. "They're spreading out, surrounding us." "Just like hunters surrounding prey," Jake muttered. He activated the fleet comm. "All ships, this is Morrison. They think we're scared deer in a forest. Let's show them we're more like wolves. Formation Delta 7. Wait for my signal." The human ships, 24 in total, shifted position. They formed small groups of 3, each group covering the others. It was a formation humans had perfected through centuries of warfare. 10 minutes until their deadline," Danny announced. Jake nodded. He thought about his daughter back on Earth, probably watching the news with her mother. He thought about the billions of people counting on them. His fear melted away, replaced by determination. The Vrakathi ships started broadcasting again. This time it wasn't War Master Volker. Dozens of alien voices filled the comm channels, howling and snarling. It was meant to terrify. "Sir, should I mute that?" Danny asked. "No, let everyone hear it, let them get angry." The howling continued. 5 minutes left. Then 3, then 1. War Master Volker appeared on screen again. "Time is up, humans. You have chosen pain. We will feast on your fear." Jake stood up. "All ships, weapons free. Fire at will." Space exploded with light. The Vrakathi weren't ready. They expected humans to panic, to break formation and run. Instead, coordinated missile strikes hammered their shields. Railguns, another human specialty, punched through their armor. "They're returning fire," someone shouted. The Endeavor shook as energy weapons hit its shields. Sparks flew from overloaded systems, but the ship held together. "Focus fire on the lead ship," Jake ordered. "Thompson, Rodriguez, bring your squadrons around their flank." The battle turned into chaos. The Vrakathi had better weapons and stronger shields, but humans had something else. They had trained for this moment. Every pilot knew their role. Every gunner trusted their targeting. Every captain supported the others. A Vrakathi dreadnought, the largest ship Jake had ever seen, pushed through the human lines. Its weapons carved through 2 defense frigates like they were made of paper. Jake watched the explosions, saw the escape pods launching. His jaw tightened. "All ships, execute hammer protocol," he commanded. 6 human vessels suddenly changed course, heading straight for the dreadnought. The Vrakathi captain probably laughed. Ramming attacks were suicide, but the human ships weren't trying to ram. At the last second, they released their entire payload of nuclear mines and veered away. The explosions chain reacted across the dreadnought's hull. Its shields flickered and died. Its weapons went silent. Then, slowly, the massive ship began to break apart. "One down," Jake said grimly. 5 to go. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Vrakathi fought with savage skill, but they couldn't adapt to human tactics. When humans lost a ship, the survivors regrouped and kept fighting. When a human squadron was cornered, others rushed to help. The Vrakathi had never seen anything like it. 3 hours in, War Master Volkar's ship took critical damage. Jake watched on his tactical display as the alien flagship tried to retreat. But Commander Maria Santos, leading a wing of fighter bombers, wouldn't let it escape. "You came here to hunt us," she broadcast on open channels. "But you forgot something important. Humans learned to hunt before we learned to speak." Her bombers struck with surgical precision. The Vrakathi flagship's engines exploded. Escape pods launched, but not many. War Master Volkar's pod was not among them. By hour 6, 3 Vrakathi dreadnoughts were destroyed. 2 more were crippled and trying to flee. The last one, commanded by someone called Hunt Leader Krex, sent a message. "This is not possible. You are prey. We are the hunters. This is not possible." Jake opened a channel to respond. His uniform was torn. His face had a cut from flying debris, but his voice was strong. "You made 2 mistakes. First, you threatened our home. Second, you assumed we'd act like your other victims." He paused, looking at his tired but victorious crew. "We're not prey. We never were. We're humans, and now the whole galaxy knows it." The last Vrakathi ship jumped to hyperspace, carrying news of their defeat. Jake slumped in his chair, exhausted. Earth was safe. But more than that, humanity had sent a message to the stars. The hunters had become the hunted. "Sir," Danny said quietly. "Incoming messages from the Galactic Council. Dozens of species are asking for meetings with Earth's representatives." Jake nodded. "Let Ambassador Lisa Carter handle those. We have work to do here." He looked at the debris field where thousands of Vrakathi had died. "This is just the beginning. They'll be back. And we'll be ready," Danny replied. Jake stood and faced his crew. They were battered. Some were crying for lost friends, but all stood proud. "Today you saved Earth. Today you showed the galaxy that humans don't bow to bullies. Today you became legends." The bridge erupted in cheers. Outside the windows, Earth continued its peaceful spin, unaware how close it had come to disaster. And in the depths of space, the news spread from system to system. The Vrakathi, the galaxy's most feared hunters, had been defeated. By humans. The age of human space exploration was ending. The age of human protection was about to begin. The Galactic Council building floated in neutral space like a giant glass flower. Every member species had helped design it, making it look strange but beautiful. Today, it buzzed with more activity than anyone had seen in centuries. Ambassador Lisa Carter walked through the crystal corridors, trying not to stare at the aliens around her. 2 months ago, humans barely knew other intelligent life existed. Now, she represented Earth to hundreds of species. Ambassador Carter, a small blue creature with 6 arms, rushed toward her. This was Diplomat Zelix from the Altani Federation. "Is it true? Did humans really defeat the Vrakathi?" Lisa kept her face calm, though inside she felt pride swell. "It's true. They attacked Earth without warning. We defended ourselves." Zelix's large eyes grew even wider. "But how? The Vrakathi have hunted the galaxy for 10,000 years. No one has ever beaten them," Lisa finished. Maybe no one ever fought back properly. As she entered the main council chamber, conversation stopped. Hundreds of alien eyes, stalks, and sensors turned toward her. Some beings floated, others stood on multiple legs, and a few seemed to be made of light itself. But all watched the human ambassador with new respect and fear. The council leader, a being called Harmony Keeper Vex, spoke through its translator. Its body looked like living water held in a vaguely humanoid shape. Ambassador Carter, we have received disturbing reports from Vrakathi space. Lisa took her assigned spot, a platform that adjusted to her height. What kind of reports? High Hunter Krellax the Merciless has declared humans a priority target. He says your victory was luck. He promises to hunt your species to extinction. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some species made sounds of sympathy. Others seemed to be calculating whether to distance themselves from humanity. Lisa stood straight. Let him come. Humans have dealt with bullies before. You don't understand, said another council member, Ambassador Thrix of the Morvac Trade Union. His insect-like head tilted. Krellax is not just any Vrakathi. He has hunted for 500 years. Entire civilizations have vanished because of him. Then it's time someone stopped him, Lisa replied. Meanwhile, in Earth's military command center, Colonel Sam Wright studied holographic star maps. Red dots marked recent Vrakathi activity. There were too many of them. They're moving, he told his staff. 6 hunter fleets, all converging toward human space. This isn't random. They're planning something big. Captain Nina Patel, head of intelligence, pointed to one sector. We've lost contact with 3 scout ships here. They were investigating that nebula. Sam frowned. The Vrakathi were famous for using natural phenomena to hide their movements. That's where they'll come from. I'd bet my pension on it. What do we do, sir? Asked Major Chris Johnson. We barely have enough ships to patrol our own borders. Sam smiled, but it wasn't a pleasant expression. We don't wait for them to come to us. We take the fight to them. He turned to his staff. I want our best pilots, our smartest tacticians. We're forming hunter-killer squadrons. If the Vrakathi want to hunt humans, they'll learn we hunt back. Deep in Vrakathi space, on a world whose name no human could pronounce, High Hunter Krellax studied the battle recordings from Earth. His 4 eyes watched every moment, analyzing human tactics. Impossible, he growled. His subordinates trembled. When Krellax was angry, beings died. These humans fought like veterans, but our records say they've only had space travel for mere decades. Hunt leader Vrex, survivor of the Earth battle, dared to speak. High Hunter, they don't fight like prey. They fight like what? Krellax's teeth showed. Like predators, High Hunter. Like us. Krellax's tail smashed a nearby console. Nothing is like us. We are the supreme hunters. These humans are an insult to our glory. He activated the fleet communications. His image appeared on every Vrakathi ship in the sector. Warriors of the hunt. The humans have embarrassed us. They killed War Master Volkar. They made Hunt Leader Krex flee in terror. This cannot stand. Thousands of Vrakathi howled in response. I declare the Great Hunt. Every ship, every warrior will join. We will show the galaxy that the Vrakathi remain supreme. We will hang human skulls in our trophy halls. Their worlds will burn. The howling grew louder. On the bridge of his dreadnought, Krellax smiled. No species had ever survived a great hunt. Back on Earth, news of the Vrakathi declaration reached the military command. Sam Wright gathered his newly formed squadron leaders. They're coming for us with everything they have, he announced. Good. The officers looked confused. Captain Maya Singh spoke up. Sir, how is that good? We're outnumbered 100 to 1. Sam pulled up a tactical display. Because they're making the same mistake they made before. They think this is about strength. It's not. It's about intelligence. He highlighted several systems. The Vrakathi are hunters, but they're not soldiers. They don't understand logistics, supply lines, or coordinated warfare. We do. He pointed to specific locations. They'll need fuel here, supplies there. Their ships are powerful but not self-sufficient. We're going to introduce them to guerrilla warfare, human style. Lieutenant Colonel Frank Butler nodded slowly. We don't fight their fleets head-on. We bleed them. Death by 1,000 cuts. Exactly. And while they're chasing shadows, we'll be hitting them where it really hurts. In the following weeks, strange reports began reaching the Galactic Council, human ships appearing in Vrakathi territory, striking supply depots and disappearing. Vrakathi hunting parties finding their prey already gone, their trap locations somehow known in advance. Ambassador Lisa Carter found herself explaining human military history to confused alien diplomats. You see, she said during one session, humans have always been persistence hunters. Our ancestors would chase prey for hours, even days. We don't need to be the strongest or fastest. We just need to outlast our enemies. Diplomat Zelix listened, fascinated. But the Vrakathi have better technology, bigger ships. The Romans thought the same about the Germanic tribes. The British thought it about the American colonists. History is full of examples where determination beat superior force. High Hunter Krellax grew increasingly frustrated. His glorious hunt was becoming a nightmare. Human ships appeared like ghosts, struck critical targets, and vanished before his fleets could respond. They're not fighting properly, he raged at his war council. Where are the great battles? Where is the glory? Hunt leader Vrex, now his senior advisor, chose his words carefully. High Hunter, the humans seem to have studied us. They know our patterns. Impossible. Our hunting methods are perfect. But the evidence was mounting. 3 major supply bases destroyed, 2 command ships ambushed and captured, dozens of scout vessels simply vanishing. And through it all, not a single major battle where Vrakathi numerical superiority could matter. On Earth, children went to school and people went to work, largely unaware of the shadow war being fought in distant stars. But in military circles, a new pride was growing. Humanity wasn't just surviving, they were winning. Dr. Paul Rodriguez, studying captured Vrakathi technology, made a discovery that changed everything. He burst into Colonel Wright's office without knocking. Sir, I've figured it out. The Vrakathi, their whole society, it's based on the hunt. But look at this. He displayed brain scans and behavioral analysis. They're not true predators. They're scavengers who learn to hunt. Their entire psychology is based on overwhelming force against weaker prey. Sam leaned forward. Meaning? Meaning they've never faced persistence predators before. Every successful species they've hunted either fought back directly and lost, or tried to hide and was found. But humans? We're doing neither. We're hunting the hunters. 6 months into the conflict, High Hunter Krellax received reports that made his blood freeze. Human ships had been spotted near the Vrakathi core worlds. Not attacking, just watching. The message was clear. We can reach you anywhere. The hunter had become the hunted. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Vrakathi knew fear. In the Galactic Council, species that had cowered before the Vrakathi for millennia began to ask questions. If humans could stand against the hunters, what else was possible? Lisa Carter addressed the assembly. Humanity offers friendship to all peaceful species. We don't seek empire or domination. But to those who prey on others. She paused, looking at each delegation. We are your natural enemy and we never stop hunting. The age of Vrakathi terror was ending. The age of human protection was beginning. And throughout the galaxy, hope flickered to life in places where it had long been extinguished. Commander Amy Chen floated in the darkness of space, her stealth suit making her almost invisible. Behind her, 20 other human soldiers waited in similar suits. They had been drifting for 6 hours, playing dead among the debris of a destroyed cargo ship. Target approaching, whispered her second-in-command, Lieutenant Tony Baker. Right on schedule. Amy smiled behind her helmet. The Vrakathi were predictable. They always sent scout ships to examine battle sites, looking for survivors, to hunt. Today they would find something else. The Vrakathi scout ship moved closer, its sensors sweeping the debris. Amy held her breath as a scanning beam passed over her. The suit's stealth systems held. The beam moved on. Now, she whispered. 21 humans activated their suit thrusters at once. They shot toward the scout ship like bullets, too small, and fast for its weapons to target. Amy reached the hull first, slapping a breaching charge against an airlock. The explosion was silent in space, but deadly effective. Amy and her team poured into the ship. The Vrakathi crew, caught completely off guard, barely had time to reach for weapons. 10 minutes later, Amy stood on the scout ship's bridge. 3 Vrakathi hunters knelt before her, their hands bound. They looked confused more than afraid. "This is not how prey acts," one of them growled. "You should run. You should hide." Amy removed her helmet, letting them see her human face. "We're not prey. We never were. Your people just never met persistence hunters before." She activated the ship's communication system. "This is Commander. Shenmue package secured. Send the tech team." Back at Earth's forward operating base, a converted asteroid in neutral space, Dr. Paul Rodriguez examined the captured ship with excitement. "This is incredible. Their technology is advanced, but their security is terrible. It's like they never expected anyone to board their ships." Colonel Sam Wright watched the analysis. "Can we use it?" "Better than that. We can improve it." Paul pointed to the engine systems. "Their faster-than-light drives are more powerful than ours, but less efficient. If we combine their power with our navigation systems," Sam understood immediately. "We could hit them anywhere, anytime." "Exactly. And look at this." Paul brought up the ship's computer core. "Their entire fleet uses the same communication protocols. No encryption, no security. They never needed it because no one ever fought back effectively. Miles away in deep space, another human operation was underway. Captain Kyle Turner led his squadron of modified fighters toward a Vrakathi supply station. It hung in space like a metal spider, its docking arms full of hunter ships being refueled. "Remember the plan," Kyle told his pilots. "We're not here to destroy the station. We're here to send a message." The fighters split into pairs, each targeting specific systems. Kyle and his wingman, Lieutenant Sophie Martin, headed for the communication. "Array Vrakathi fighters launching," Sophie reported. 6 of them. Kyle checked his tactical display. "Let them come. Beta team, you're up." 4 human fighters broke formation, turning to meet the Vrakathi head-on. But they didn't engage. Instead, they scattered, leading the hunters on a wild chase through the station's superstructure. "They're following," reported Beta leader. "Taking the bait," Kyle smiled. The Vrakathi couldn't resist a chase, it was in their nature. While they pursued Beta team, Kyle and Sophie reached the communication array unnoticed. "Planting charges," Sophie said. 30 seconds. The explosion lit up space. The station's ability to call for help died instantly. Now came the real part of the plan. "All teams execute Phase 2, Kyle ordered. Human fighters swarmed the station's docking arms, but instead of destroying the Vrakathi ships, they did something unexpected. They painted them. Each Vrakathi vessel received the same message in bright permanent paint. "You are being hunted. Humanity." The psychological effect was immediate. As Vrakathi crews returned to their ships and saw the messages, panic spread. How had humans gotten so close? Why hadn't they destroyed the ships when they could have? In Vrakathi High Command, reports poured in from across their territory. Human strikes were increasing, but they followed no pattern the hunters could understand. Supply lines were cut. Command posts were infiltrated. Ships were marked with threatening messages. High Hunter Krellax studied the reports with growing unease. His tactical officer, Hunt Leader Grax, dared to voice what others were thinking. "High Hunter, they're not fighting like prey. They're fighting like better hunters than us." Krellax's tail lashed in anger, but he couldn't deny the truth. "Impossible. We have hunted the stars for 10,000 years. And in all that time," Grax continued carefully, "we've never faced a species that hunted us back. Not like this. On Earth, the captured Vrakathi technology was yielding incredible results. Dr. Rodriguez and his team had cracked the aliens' computer systems completely. They now had access to patrol routes, supply schedules, and most importantly, the locations. of Vrakathi colony worlds. We could end this war tomorrow, suggested General Patricia Moore during a strategy meeting. Hit their homeworld, force a surrender. Sam Wright shook his head. That's not the goal. We're not trying to destroy them, we're changing them. What do you mean? Sam pulled up psychological profiles of Vrakathi prisoners. They're not evil, just focused entirely on hunting. It's their culture, their religion, their everything. We need to break that mindset, show them there's another way. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A captured Vrakathi hunter named Vrax had been talking with human psychologist Dr. Helen Park. Unlike his fellow prisoners, Vrax seemed genuinely curious about humans. Your people confuse us, Vrax admitted during one session. You show mercy to enemies. You protect the weak. This is not the way of hunters. Helen leaned forward. What if I told you that humans are the greatest hunters Earth ever produced? We hunted every major predator on our world. But we learned something your people haven't. What? That the greatest hunt isn't for prey, it's for understanding, for peace, for a better future. Vrax fell silent, his 4 eyes focused on her. Something in his expression changed. Word of these conversations reached Vrakathi space through prisoner exchanges. The idea spread like a virus. What if the humans were right? What if there was more to existence than the hunt? High Hunter Krelax felt his empire of fear crumbling. Younger Vrakathi were questioning the old ways. Some hunting parties were refusing missions against humans, claiming it was dishonorable to hunt superior predators. In desperation, he planned one final assault. Every ship he could gather would attack Earth directly. No more games, no more small battles. Total war. The human spy network, now deeply embedded in Vrakathi communications, detected the plan immediately. Admiral Morrison, the hero of First Contact, took command of Earth's response. They're coming with everything, she told the assembled fleet captains. Good. We'll show them what happens when you corner a human. But even as both sides prepared for the climactic battle, something unexpected was happening. On border worlds, human and Vrakathi individuals were meeting in secret, trading ideas, learning from each other. A young Vrakathi hunter named Crix met with human soldier Maria Santos on a neutral station. Why do your people fight so hard? He asked. You could flee to other parts of the galaxy. Maria smiled. Because we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every species the Vrakathi have hurt. And we're fighting for the Vrakathi, too. For us, that makes no sense. Your people have been trapped in one way of thinking for 10,000 years. We're trying to free you from that prison. Crix left that meeting deeply troubled. Everything he had been taught was being challenged, and he wasn't alone. As Krelax's grand fleet assembled, cracks were already forming in Vrakathi society. The hunters were beginning to question the hunt itself. The stage was set for the final confrontation. But it would not be the battle anyone expected. The Vrakathi commander couldn't sleep. For 3 days he had hidden his ship in an asteroid field, powered down to avoid detection. His crew of veteran hunters sat silent at their posts, weapon hands twitching at every small sound. Sir, his tactical officer whispered. Maybe they've passed by, maybe we're safe. The commander, hunt leader Torvin, checked his sensors for the 100th time. Nothing. Empty space. But he knew better. They're out there, he muttered. Humans don't give up. They just keep coming. A young hunter spoke up. But sir, we've been hiding for days. Surely they would have found us by now if... The lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing the bridge in red light. On the main screen, a message appeared. Hide and seek is over. Commander Chen. Torvin's heart sank. The humans had been there all along, waiting for the perfect moment. 6 months had passed since the war began. What started as the Vrakathis' great hunt had become something else entirely. The hunters were being hunted, and they were losing. Admiral Jake Morrison, now in command of humanity's combined fleets, studied the war map in his office. Blue dots marked human-controlled space. Red showed Vrakathi territory. The blue was spreading. Status report, he requested from his aide, Captain Lucy Adams. 17 Vrakathi systems now under human protection, sir. Local populations actually seem relieved. They're tired of living under hunter rule. Jake nodded. The Vrakathi Empire wasn't just military, it controlled hundreds of other species through fear. As that fear faded, the Empire crumbled. And Krelax's main fleet? Still gathering, but slower than expected. They're having trouble getting crews. Many Vrakathi are refusing to join what they call a doomed hunt. Deep in Vrakathi space, High Hunter Krelax faced a challenge he never expected. Desertion. Warriors who had served him for decades were disappearing. Some joined remote colonies. Others simply vanished into space. This is your fault, he roared at Hunt Leader Vrex, one of his few remaining loyal commanders. You spoke of humans with respect. You planted doubt in our warriors' minds. Vrex stood firm. I spoke truth, High Hunter. The humans are superior hunters. They use tactics we never imagined. They show mercy we never conceived. Perhaps we should learn. Krelax's claws stopped inches from Vrex's throat. Learn? From prey? They're not prey. They never were. And deep down, you know it. The confrontation was interrupted by alarms. Human ships had appeared in the system. Not a full fleet, just 3 vessels. But their message was clear. Nowhere was safe. Meanwhile, on a human-forward base, Major Kate Williams prepared her special operations teams for their boldest mission yet. They would infiltrate Krelax's own command ship during the gathering of his fleet. This is insane, muttered Sergeant Bill Murphy, checking his stealth gear. Boarding the High Hunter's personal dreadnought. Kate smiled. That's exactly why they won't expect it. The Vrakathi think in terms of strength and direct assault. We think differently. Her team of 30 specialists represented humanity's best. Each had survived dozens of missions against the Vrakathi. They knew alien technology, psychology, and weaknesses better than anyone. Remember, Kate briefed them, we're not there to kill Krelax. We're there to show him something, to change his mind. Change a 10,000-year-old culture with one mission? Bill asked skeptically. Sometimes that's all it takes. One moment of understanding. The mission launched 3 days later. Using captured Vrakathi codes and a modified stealth ship, the human team approached the massive gathering of hunter vessels. Hundreds of warships surrounded Krelax's dreadnought, itself a city-sized weapon of war. But human intelligence had found a weakness. During fleet gatherings, Vrakathi traditionally lowered their shields as a sign of unity. They never imagined someone would use this tradition against them. Kate's team slipped through space like ghosts. They docked with the dreadnought using maintenance ports, areas the proud Vrakathi never thought to guard heavily. Inside, they moved through corridors decorated with trophies from 1,000 hunts, skulls of extinct species, weapons taken from dead civilizations, the history of genocide displayed like art. Barbaric, whispered Private Janet Lee. To us, Kate replied softly. To them, it's glory. That's what we need to change. They reached their target, the Dreadnought's central data core. But instead of destroying it, Kate uploaded something else. Every screen on the ship began displaying images. Not of human military might, but of human culture. Art, music, children playing, doctors healing, humans and former enemies working together. The effect was immediate. Vrakathi crew members stopped to stare. They had never seen their enemies as anything but targets. Now they saw them as people. Alarms finally sounded. Krelax himself arrived on the bridge to find his command screens showing human families having dinner, human scientists curing diseases, human artists creating beauty. What is this? He roared. Kate's voice came through the speakers. She stood openly now, her team around her, weapons lowered. This is who we are, High Hunter. This is what you're trying to destroy. Krelax saw the humans on his security monitors, a handful of soldiers, surrounded by hundreds of his warriors. They should have been terrified. Instead, they stood calm. Kill them, he ordered. But something unprecedented happened. His warriors hesitated. They had seen the images. More than that, they had seen how these humans infiltrated the most secure ship in the Vrkati fleet. These were not prey. These were apex predators showing restraint. Hunt leader Vrek stepped forward. "No, High Hunter. No more killing." "You dare defy me?" "I dare to evolve," Vrex replied. He looked at the human commander on the screen. "You could have destroyed this ship. Why didn't you?" Kate spoke clearly. "Because we're not here to end your species. We're here to save it. From itself." The bridge fell silent. Then one by one, Vrkati warriors began lowering their weapons. The images continued playing. A human child drawing a picture. A human elder teaching young ones. Humans and aliens working side by side on colony worlds. Krelax stood alone, his ancient mind struggling with new concepts. "For 10,000 years we have been hunters. Without the hunt, what are we?" "You become whatever you choose to be," Kate answered. "That's what freedom means." Word of the confrontation spread through the gathered fleet. On ship after ship, Vrkati crews watched the human transmissions. They saw strength without cruelty, power without oppression. The great fleet assembled to destroy humanity began to fragment. Ships turned away, their crews refusing to continue a war that no longer made sense. In the following days, something unprecedented happened. Vrkati commanders began requesting meetings with human representatives, not to surrender, but to understand. Dr. Helen Park, the psychologist who had worked with prisoners, found herself explaining human philosophy to rooms full of alien warriors. "You say hunting is your nature," she told them. "But nature can evolve. Humans were once purely hunters too. We evolved into builders, healers, explorers. You can too. The war didn't end with a great battle. It ended with conversations, with understanding." With Vrkati warriors realizing that the greatest hunt was not for prey, but for purpose. High Hunter Krelax, the last holdout of the old ways, finally met with Admiral Morrison. The ancient warrior looked tired, his armor dull, his 4 eyes dim. "I have lived for 800 years, he said slowly. "I have led countless hunts, destroyed entire civilizations, and now a species barely a century in space has defeated everything I believed in." Jake Morrison sat across from him, no weapons, no guards. "You're not defeated, Krelax. You're liberated. The hunt was a prison. We've shown you the door. And what lies beyond that door? The future. A galaxy where former enemies become allies, where strength protects instead of destroys, where the Vrkati are remembered not for what they hunted but for what they chose to become." Krelax was quiet for a long moment. Then, for the first time in recorded history, a Vrkati high hunter bowed his head to another species. The hunter's age was ending. The age of transformation had begun. The skies above the Vrkati homeworld were clear for the first time in millennia. No hunter fleets darkened the space. No warships prepared for raids. Instead, different vessels gathered. Ships from species that had once fled Vrkati hunters now came in peace. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Earthship Harmony, watching the planet below. Beside him stood former High Hunter Krelax, no longer wearing his battle armor but simple robes. "Strange," Krelax said quietly. "I have seen my world from space countless times, but never like this. Never in peace." Jake nodded. "How does it feel?" "Frightening," the old Vrkati admitted, "but also liberating. Like waking from a very long nightmare." 1 year had passed since the great hunt ended. The changes across the galaxy were profound. On the planet below, Vrkati cities were being rebuilt. Weapons factories now produced tools. Training grounds for young hunters had become schools where they learned science, art, and diplomacy. In the largest city, Ambassador Lisa Carter walked through streets she could never have imagined visiting peacefully. Vrkati civilians, a concept that hadn't existed before, greeted her with curious respect. Children, their hunting claws still small, played with toys instead of weapons. She entered the newly built Council of Reconciliation, where former Hunt, leader Vrex, now served as peace coordinator. The building's architecture combined Vrakathi tradition with new influences, aggressive angles softened by curves, predator imagery balanced with symbols of growth. Ambassador Carter, Vrex greeted her. His voice, once used only for battle commands, now carried warmth. The former hunter clans have agreed to the education proposals. All young Vrakathi will learn the new ways alongside the old. Lisa smiled. That's wonderful news. How are your people adapting? It's challenging. Some embrace change eagerly, others struggle. 10,000 years of culture doesn't vanish overnight, but we see progress daily. Through the window, they watched Vrakathi and humans working together on a construction project. The sight would have been unthinkable 2 years ago. Your people gave us a gift, Vrex continued. Not just peace, but purpose. We're learning that building is more satisfying than destroying. At the Galactic Council, the changes were equally dramatic. Species that had cowered in fear now spoke freely. Trade, routes once avoided due to Vrakathi raids, flourished. Most remarkably, former prey species were working alongside their former hunters. Ambassador Zelix of the Altani Federation addressed the assembly. The human solution has created something unprecedented. Not just the end of Vrakathi aggression, but the beginning of Vrakathi protection. They who once hunted us now help defend us. It was true. Vrakathi ships, redesigned for defense rather than hunting, now patrolled troubled sectors. Their warriors, retrained as peacekeepers, used their skills to stop pirates and protect the weak. The galaxy's most feared predators had become its guardians. Dr. Paul Rodriguez continued his work with Vrakathi technology, but now the collaboration was open and eager. In a joint research facility orbiting Earth's moon, human and Vrakathi scientists worked side by side. Your hyperspace drives combined with our navigation systems, he explained to a group of alien engineers, could allow us to reach galaxy sectors never before explored, not for conquest, but for discovery. A young Vrakathi scientist named Crix, the same who had once questioned human motives, added enthusiastically, and imagine what we might find. New civilizations to meet peacefully, new knowledge to share. The hunt for understanding is far more exciting than the hunt for prey. Not everything was smooth. Change created friction. Some Vrakathi couldn't adapt to the new ways and isolated themselves on remote worlds. Some humans argued they had been too forgiving of former enemies. But the momentum of transformation was unstoppable. Colonel Sam Wright, now General Wright, established the Joint Defense Force, humans and Vrakathi serving together. The first mixed crews were awkward, but they learned from each other. Humans taught tactics and strategy. Vrakathi shared their superior technology and physical capabilities. It's remarkable, Sam told his staff. They're incredible soldiers, once you redirect their instincts. Their loyalty, once earned, is absolute, and they're teaching us things about space combat we never imagined. Captain Amy Chen, hero of the infiltration mission, now commanded a mixed crew. Her first officer was a Vrakathi warrior named Torvin, the same commander she had once captured in an asteroid field. Approaching the distress signal, Torvin reported during a rescue mission. It appears to be a damaged colony ship. Amy nodded. Take us in carefully, prep the rescue teams. As they worked together to save lives, Amy reflected on how much had changed. Former enemies now trusted each other with their lives. The hunt had indeed evolved into a hunt for justice, protection, and peace. The transformation's most powerful moment came during the first Vrakathi cultural festival open to all species. On their homeworld, the Vrakathi displayed their history. All of it. The brutal past wasn't hidden but presented as a warning and a lesson. High Hunter Krelax, now simply called Elder Krelax, gave the opening speech. We stand before you, not proud of what we were, but hopeful for what we're becoming. Humanity showed us that strength without compassion is not strength at all. It is weakness disguised. The festival featured Vrakathi art, once focused entirely on hunting and conquest, now exploring themes of growth, cooperation, and beauty. Young Vrakathi performed dances that told stories of redemption instead of raids. Most moving was the Memorial of the Lost, a monument to all species harmed by Vrakathi hunts. Instead of hiding their shame, the Vrakathi faced it, vowing never to repeat such horrors. As the ceremony ended, a small Vrakathi child approached Admiral Morrison. In broken but determined English, she said, "Thank you for stopping us. Thank you for saving us from ourselves." Jake knelt to the child's level. "You're welcome, but remember, we didn't save you. We just showed you the door. Your people walked through it yourselves." 5 years after the war's end, the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. The Vrakathi Republic was now one of the strongest voices for peace in the Galactic Council. Their former hunting fleets formed the backbone of a peacekeeping force that protected vulnerable worlds. Ambassador Lisa Carter, preparing to retire after years of service, gave her final address to the Council. "When humanity first encountered the Vrakathi, we were told they were monsters, irredeemable hunters who knew only violence. We chose not to believe that. We chose to believe that any species capable of reaching the stars was capable of growth." She paused, looking at the mixed assembly, prey and predator sitting side by side. "We were right. The Vrakathi proved that change is possible for anyone, that the longest journey is from what we are to what we could be, and that sometimes the greatest victory is helping your enemy become your friend." In the years that followed, the human solution became the standard for resolving conflicts, not through destruction but through understanding. Not by eliminating enemies, but by eliminating the concept of permanent enmity itself. Children across the galaxy learned a new version of history, how humanity, barely spacefaring, had faced the galaxy's greatest threat, not with bigger weapons, but with bigger ideas. How the persistence of human hunters lay not in their ability to destroy, but in their refusal to give up on anyone, even their enemies. And throughout the stars, a new saying replaced the old warnings about Vrakathi hunters. "Beware the persistence of humanity, for they hunt not prey, but the very concept of predation itself, and they never rest until the hunt is complete." The galaxy's deadliest hunters had indeed fallen silent. In their place rose protectors, builders, and dreamers. The hunt had evolved into something greater, the endless pursuit of a better tomorrow for all thinking beings. In the end, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships or tactics. It was their belief that anyone could change, that enemies could become allies, and that the strongest response to hatred was the relentless pursuit of understanding. The age of hunters was over. The age of unity had begun. And it all started because one species refused to be prey, not because they were stronger, but because they knew there was a better way.